Okay, so we're just gonna look at a couple more of what these things do. I'm gonna look at texture with this weird brush that we just made. Oh yeah, and of course, you know, save these if you want. Okay, if you like it like this. Okay, that's like a nice little mark. I'm gonna go for a new brush preset. I'll call this weird grungy. Well, it is a brush, but I'm gonna call it a brush. How do you like that? Okay. Now, let's try adding a little texture to it. Texture is something this control I have a hard time with. I use brushes with texture in it, but I honestly I don't like it when I add it to brushes I make. So let's try it out. Okay. So what do we need for this? All right. So we come here, and here's our texture grabber. Okay, so right now here are my textures. Water, grass, like the legal kind, and then trees. Okay, what we want to do is actually go to this little wheel and we're going to import some patterns. And we have no patterns. Hang on, where's my... I should be able to, there should be a selection there. Let's go for restore default patterns. Let's see what happens there. Okay. And it's more trees and grass. Import patterns. And there's no patterns here. Okay, it used to give you just a bunch of patterns. Hang on one second. Stump the chump. Let's see. We don't want any of that. Let's go back to texture. Huh. Okay. It used to be able to add like canvas and all these like artistic patterns and stuff like that. That's weird that they don't do that anymore. Um, okay. Well, we can make our own pattern, but I'll show you that in class, how to do that. I guess let's just use a grass pattern, because why not? All right, so I'm going to pick, yeah, this one. Okay, and you can see how it like immediately changed. So basically, it's almost like a dual brush in that it puts it underneath, like hanging out in the background, almost like in a mask. So now, yeah, I basically just destroyed my brush because it took away all of the cool stuff it was doing. So let's try to knock that back a little bit. All right, so if I bring down the scale, nothing really happens yet. What's really going to affect it is the depth. So if I bring the depth way down, I might actually get some of my brush back. Okay, that seemed to come in at like 100%. That's actually new. Okay, it used to come in at 0%, but now the depth seems to come in like that. So, that has a kind of a gritty texture, which actually is not that bad. Okay, so mess with depth first, and then scale, again, is like, it's how big and how tight is like the pattern. So if I make it really big, I can see the pattern in the background, like kind of really changing. And honestly, oh my God, that is not that bad. All right, brightness. Again, it's like a mask you're playing with. What if I go 0 on it? That's okay. See, I was talking crap about this texture to start. I shouldn't have done. And depth jitter. Do you want it to like, again, jitter is like randomized. So let's see how we did. I might like this grassy brush. Yeah, actually, oh my God, that is kind of cool. It's like a watercolor thing. That's really not that bad. I like this brush more. See? Don't judge a brush by its brush. Okay, that's actually kind of a cool brush. All right, I'm going to save this as with texture. Oh, soft round. Interesting. Let's see. Grunge with grass. Okay, that's my new brush. Ah, hearken the call. Okay, let's look at color dynamics. Okay, because this is really cool. And we've been like using black and white for the whole time. But go ahead and switch your foreground and background color to a color. How about that? And I'm going to change my background to yellow. So purple and yellow. That's a great combo. Okay, so what this does, color dynamics, is it blends foreground and background. Okay, so right now my foreground is like the alpha. If I bring this back, it'll kind of like make more of a 50-50 mix. All right, let me get a fresh slate. Okay, and do you want the hue to randomize? Like, do you want the colors to be random? Hell yeah. All right, and then that gets this like purpley thing. Saturation jitter, do you want the saturation to randomize? Do you want it to like go up and down? Yeah, you can make a vomit type color. Do you want the brightness? Why not? And then do you want the purity? Purity. I don't know what that's. You know, I never actually looked into that. I think it just kind of muddies it. Cat vomit. Okay. So that's a pretty cool thing. Okay, you can kind of play around with that. I don't really mess with color dynamics. Some brushes do though, some that you use. There's a couple watercolor ones I like that do mess with color dynamics. But I'm not a big fan of it. What if we try transfer with that then? So that's gonna, yeah, well, I'll let the flow randomize. Okay, so if you're not sure, up on your brushes too, it has opacity and flow. Okay, so opacity, let me show you this with this disgusting brush I have. Opacity is always at a constant. Okay, so if I make this 50%, I'm going to leave my flow at 100. Okay, I'm trying to get perfectly 50. It'll never get darker than that. It'll always be at 50%. This brush is like the max that it can put out is 50%. Okay? But if I change opacity to 100 and flow to 50, okay, eventually it goes down at 50%, but it can build up to 100%. So if I just keep going back and forth, it will like thicken on the page, okay? So that's the difference, really. Okay, oh no, I don't have this done. And you can set the opacity to pen pressure. You can set flow to a certain amount of pressure, and you can customize the smoothing as well if you want. Meaning like you can add more smoothing, meaning it's going to go down in a little finer gradation. And we probably would not see it in that brush. We probably need to do just like a basic soft round. Okay. So if I move smoothing down to 0, it's going to be very subtle, but you can see how it just like blends a little bit more. Okay, there's like not, it's a very subtle difference. Okay, kind of gets a little wider. I don't know. It's very subtle. Yeah, I don't mess with smoothing that much. Okay. Yeah, we just messed around with all these. And again, these are all one and done. So I can just click them on and just see what happens. Okay, now I got this like little weird, weird pink thing floating around. Okay. And yeah, that's kind of it for the settings. We're going to keep looking at these things more um, with some other brushes. Okay, and that's it.